Sometimes you got to kill your darlings. So I'm making this game, been working on this game a long time. Working title is Beastmaster, and that will not be the final name because I don't like the name that much. It's the name of a TV show. It's not, doesn't seem right. So anyway, this game Beastmaster, this is a very special game for me because this is actually the game that is the first thing that I really worked on. Is the my friend Walter Somerville and I. Walter will definitely be on this program at some point in time. He and I started this game in like 2018, 2017, somewhere around there when he moved to the Bay Area and we were over there and we were just trying to figure out game design from first principles basically. And we'd hang out every single Saturday, spend these very, very long Saturdays, just figuring things out. And we knew we needed to have a testing first kind of philosophy. And we tried not to overplan things. And so we do stuff like, I remember the first big working session. We were like, what are we going to do? It was like, well, we should have spaceships moving between places. Okay, let's cut spaceships out of index cards and start moving them around. We start moving them around, and it's like, well, if they're moving, are they moving between spaces? How much can they move? How fast can they move? How many times do you get to move before I get to move? And it's just like, you just start figuring out, board game turn order and, board shape just from first principles right away. It was really cool. We did this for years. And this game evolved a lot and now it has nothing to do with spaceships. And it just kind of grew into what it grew into. And it grew into this thing that we really, really love. And I would describe its design philosophy as is something that one of the ways Walter really influenced me and something that I really picked up on and made its way into Colossi, the card game I made, is this kind of like bombastic, effusive approach to game design where you have lots of like big, exciting things in there. I like to think of I'll probably do a whole episode about this at some point, but there's like this spectrum of like on the one end of the spectrum, there's like these super like fair, cerebral Euro style games. Like the most fair and cerebral game ever is like chess, right? But like a lot of European like farming sim type games are like this, where it's like it's perfectly fair. We don't really interact that much, and it's very cerebral and kind of slow. And the American style games of like a smash up or a cosmic encounter, or this is not even American, but the oh my goodness, why is my brain not working? Small World, where it's like all these fun ideas that kind of like smash into each other, and you go like, "Whoa, that's crazy! Can that really happen? I didn't even know that was allowed." That's the kind of thing that we like building, and we like to push that as far as it can go, and then sometimes most of the time, you have to like rein it back in. But we love giving players the moment of like getting a card that they say, seriously, am I allowed to do that? That completely like breaks out of the norms of what I thought was okay here. And we've tested it enough that we're like, yes, it actually is okay. And then they say, but what about if I used it in conjunction with this card? That would be too crazy, right? And we say, no, do it, go for it. And it creates these big, exciting moments that make you feel like a genius, and it's very exciting. Colossi, my card game, is like packed full of this stuff. It's pushed to the limit of like what seems reasonable, and I think it really worked. I was really proud of it. Okay, so Beastmaster. What is Beastmaster? I'm not going to go into all the rules. I'm not going to bore you with that, but here's the pertinent information. Uh, Beastmaster is a game that I like to think of as sort of like worker placement gone wild. So worker placement is this like familiar board game trope of like, you put all your little meeple out there on different spaces that will yield you different stuff, and then you get to go gather them and do that stuff, right? So maybe they're like farming something, like in Stone Age, or maybe they're like doing different actions, like in Lords of the Waterdeep or Agricola. But the idea is that you have to make these like tough decisions about where you place them, and there's competition to like go get the good spaces first, and then you take actions based on your little dudes out there. Um, so this is like kind of like that. You have these acolytes that you place on these different hexagons, but the hexagons all have these like crazy actions, and you can kind of string them together to create these huge, bombastic, surprising turns. Not huge in that they take forever, but just they can swing you a lot. Like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to play this card, and wow, I just got 20 points, and you're screwed now. Um, it's the game is full of those kinds of moments. And so that obviously leads us to then, from a design perspective, say, what are the craziest things that we could put on these tiles? And we're now in the phase, I would say, of reining some of those in and killing some of our darlings. And what are the primary heuristics I use to know when I need to kill something is that there are just a huge amount of clarifying questions about it. So, as an example, you have all these tiles out there, you have all these acolytes out there, and it's time to do what we call the reaping phase, where you actually reap them one by one. So you get to reap a space, then I get to reap a space, then we keep on going around clockwise until everything has been taken up. And so the sequence you do things in really matters, and it's an exciting, tense moment in the game. And we used to have a couple things in there, like you don't move pieces around during this phase. All you're doing is reaping. But there were two tiles out there that would like disrupt that, right? So there was one tile that was called the launch pad, where you'd get to pick up every single thing on that space, including like these like NPC beasts and your pieces and other people's pieces and any gold that's out there, and just basically spray it around the map wherever you want. And this would obviously have huge implications for the rest of the reaping phase, right? Because then it's like, well, that's going to like really disrupt who has control of these spaces. That's going to, you get to like move all the gold to your spaces and all this stuff. It's really cool. You could like move guys onto a dangerous space that kills them, whatever. It's a big, exciting moment. It's the kind of thing that we love. Similarly, there was another one called the teleporter where it's like swap everything on this tile with another tile. Um, Both very cool and exciting. As it turns out, like based on the other rules in the game, these two tiles caused an extreme amount of confusion and would lead to so many edge cases that I had to clarify. And it reached this point where it was like, if I want this thing to work the way that I want it to work, which is the fun and exciting way, I need like sentences of clarification about how it works. And nothing else in the game is really like that. We try to keep the game like fairly lightweight and like understandable at a glance. And these two things, although they fit perfectly within the way that we like to design and they match this like bombastic feel of the game, they cause more trouble than they're worth. And I am not designing a game where there's a tile you need to understand at a glance and it has 3 sentences of clarification on them. So that's like a smell. Programmers like to talk about a code smell, like when something just feels off and you can just tell because you have enough experience. And I feel like these have a little bit of a game design smell, a little complexity smell, a little bit of if I want this thing to work properly, it needs multiple sentences of clarification, and I'm trying to just kill those things. And so today we salute you, Teleporter and Launchpad, as we send you off into the sunset and remove you from the game. Similarly, I salute you, Time Beast, which was a beast that used to walk around the board reaping spaces early. A very cool idea, which led to some amazing moments and also needed about a paragraph of clarification in order to not completely break the game. So yeah, sometimes you come up with a darling and you love it and you're in denial about it for months and you say, no, I'm going to find some way to keep this thing in the game. And then the 15th time that a player looks up at you with those confused puppy eyes and says, how could you do this to me? This is too confusing. You say, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to kill my darlings.